Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Undergrad Forum. This episode is going to concern good books that I am reading now and I have read. I'm making this episode because a user requested it. They asked me what books are you reading and which ones would you recommend for just casual reading and enjoyment, and I decided, well, it's a good idea to make this video. Now here's the very latest book that I finished called The Double Helix by James Watson. A surprisingly enjoyable read. It's written by Watson. He writes it as a first-hand experience of how he went from thinking about the structure of DNA and how he worked towards solving it with others and coming to a conclusion and in the end winning a Nobel Prize. It's a very enjoyable text for several reasons. One, it gives you insight into how scientists think. It gives you insight into how the public perceives how scientists think. A lot of us think that scientists are mysterious and they think in weird ways and we can't understand them, but they're really not. This book really breaks down that barrier and shows that scientists are people like everyone else, and it kind of shows their logic and method of thinking in this text. This is very sciencey. It doesn't have any difficult terms to understand. Very, very fundamental. It's written for the public. It's written for enjoyment. It's not a textbook, it's not dense, it's a first-hand view of how DNA was discovered. And it could just be me and some others, but that is super, super interesting, you know? So check it out. I got this book at Barnes & Noble for I think around $10, so not a very expensive book compared to the $100 or sometimes $200 science textbooks we've had to buy. Enjoyable read, and it's not that expensive. Alright, this next book here was actually recommended to me by a person who has a YouTube channel that I quite often mention, MCAT Strategy. And his book here is called Doing Right by Philip Herbert. And this book is a nice, broad, general introduction into medical ethics. You read a lot of case studies, and the author walks you through his thinking process and kind of gives you an introduction. Throughout that process, teaches you the very fundamentals of medical ethics. There are points where it gets dense. I'm not done with it yet. I'm still reading this one, but it's extremely enjoyable. I took a full semester-long course called Medical Ethics, where that's all we studied, and this book is very thorough. I'm surprised how in this many pages there's a lot of material covered, and it's covered very well in a very easy way to understand. So if you desire to learn about medical ethics and get your foundations down just because of your own interest, I would recommend this book. Now the next book, I just got this one, haven't even had a chance to crack the cover yet, but it was recommended by U.S. Med Student. It's actually kind of a famous book because Barnes & Noble kind of advertises it a lot, and I've had some friends that read it. But U.S. Med Student, keeping with the whole YouTube theme, he has a YouTube channel that I read. And this book here is The Spirit Catches You and You Fall Down by Annie Fadiman. This book I haven't even opened the cover yet. Look at that, it's brand new. I've heard it's amazing. It'll for those who are interested to see how important it is to be very well cultured and have a good background when working with others, and specifically in the medical field. This book, from the reviews that I've read, you have a patient that comes in from a very different background from the physician, and you get to kind of witness throughout the book the challenges that are brought up from the different backgrounds and the different customs and understandings. What I'm looking forward to in this book is, one, the enjoyable story, but second, to see how important it is to be well cultured and to be able to understand and empathize with others. Alright, so now I'm going to enter into the stack of books that I've already read that I just loved. And this one is top shelf in my book. In my bookcase, this thing is top shelf. This is The Last Lecture by Randy Pausch. It is an absolutely phenomenal book. Very thin, kind of like big text like this, some pictures in there. And I consider this book, some people loved it, some people don't. I consider it to be a gold mine. And the reason why is that this book is filled with two big things. First, a great story to read, always enjoyable, and second, loaded with wisdom. The sad thing here is that Randy Pausch, he's on the back here, the man here, Actually, he knew he only had a few months to live due to a cancer diagnosis, and he had his 3 young children here. And what he wanted to do was to give him all the information, the wisdom that he was going to give them as they grew up. And knowing that he didn't have much time, he decided to write it all in a book and give it to his children. So this book wasn't really designed for publication, it was just designed for his children, but he decided to publish it. And the great thing here is that you're learning the importance of what a successful man like Randy Pausch thinks is important for young people to know. And I find this book to be a gold mine of information and wisdom because you can learn a lot from it, from what I think could be at any point in your life. Okay, this next book, very, very sciencey. I'm sorry to those who don't like it. The Origin of Species by Charles Darwin. And this book, aside from being kind of sciencey because it is about evolution, I think it's really important because there's a lot of big debates that occur now. Things that, to have a solid discussion, we need to be well educated to have good discussions. And with the topic of evolution, I see it a lot in the news, I hear it a lot on NPR, and I think that there's a lot of people who have like a general understanding of what evolution is by reading websites and stuff and second or third hand or word of mouth information. Reading this text, I took a full semester-long course on evolution, but it's always really nice to read this text because it's not very big. You get the fundamental understanding of what Darwin was trying to say, not what your textbook for your evolution class was trying to say, not what some big speaker at a big college is talking about, what he thinks evolution means, but what Darwin himself meant when he was writing his original publications, and what we now understand from it. It's an enjoyable read. It will make you more well-informed on this important topic, because this topic of evolution is not going away. It'll probably increase over time, and it's important to have a firm foundation of what is evolution to answer the questions or to possibly become involved in the debate regarding evolution. So I highly recommend it as a great text. And this one I bought at my college bookstore for a couple bucks actually. So this book is not that expensive. Okay, so this book falls under the religion category, and I actually read this for a course, but I loved it so much I kept it for myself. And it's called 8 Theories of Religion by Daniel Pals. Now, what I love about this book is we have 8 different authors: Freud, Durkheim, Marx, Weber, Eliade, Pritchard, Geertz, Taylor, and Fraser, that give their own understanding of what is religion, or how should it be studied, or their ideas in general regarding a theory of religion. If you were interested in this topic, as I was when I took this course, it is absolutely fascinating to read what Freud thinks that religion is. He calls it an illusion. Or Marx or Eliade, they have absolutely fascinating ideas of what is religion. So I would highly recommend this book. It's a very fun read. It'll kind of give you insight into a very important point, religion, since it is so, it really kind of penetrates almost all of our lives around the world. It's kind of this thick. It's kind of more of a dense, tough read. But if you work through it slowly, you get a lot out of it. This concludes my fun textbook list for now. I'll come back with another one later. If you have any suggestions regarding books I should read, or if you want to add some comments regarding the books that I've mentioned here today, please do below in the comment section, or send it to me via message to my YouTube inbox. And please remember to rate this video. Thank you for watching.